Hi, hello.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm just going to introduce, this is Lisa Shawe from our channel. This channel provides a safe space for people to come together. And Lisa's going to share her journey with having bipolar disorder with us, because if you have it yourself, or if you have a partner who has it, I think this is really kind of you. Thank you so much.
Okay, sure. When I was about 5 years old, I was in kindergarten, and the teacher, we were coloring, and I had to pick colors, and I just couldn't pick the colors. I froze, and I looked around, and I felt very different. And then there's nap time, whatever you do in kindergarten. I couldn't make decisions, and I was freezing, and I became like very shy. So the teacher told my mom, and then it was like, oh, something is happening to your child. So that happened. But back then, we didn't really label it or know what it was, just that something was a little off with your daughter. Then when I was about 11, I lived in New York, and then we moved to Florida for a few years. And that was my home where I grew up that we left. And I think that was really hard for me because New York to Florida is a big difference. And I really had a hard time adjusting to it. Between 5 and 11, I had problems. I'd stay inside a lot in my room and play, but I wasn't running around carefree like I saw the other kids. I was observing though. I was being, I don't know, I was just watching a lot of the time. And that was happening. Then when I was around 11, we moved to Florida. And then we're in Florida, and it's very hard for me to adjust. And then I started around 12 or 13, and I started to binge eat and things like that behind my parents' back, just doing it by myself and hiding. And that hiding kicked off my whole life of illness, that first hiding from my parents, not asking for help. And that kind of happened. Then from the age of 15, we moved to Manhattan, which was great. I went to a private school, and at that time, I started to really start smoking weed and drinking wine. And so then at 20 years old in Manhattan, this agency, Elite Modeling Agency, wanted me to model. And I went home and I started binge eat again. And I was hiding. I mean, my parents were there or something. And I just couldn't answer the phone. And they became very concerned about me. So my brother came in, and I literally had a nervous breakdown at that point because I couldn't take the pressure of something that was a job coming up, a good job too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had the nervous breakdown. I went to my first hospital, and then I went to another hospital, and then I ended up in a hospital for 3 months. I was checking between 20 and 42. I went to about 10 hospitals. I've been to hospitals for psychosis, basically. And that a whole history of psychosis, which means I was thinking things that were not true.
Yes.
Like I used to think I was famous and stuff like that, but that wasn't real. And one time, I don't know, I saw Whoopi Goldberg in the hospital. That was so strange. And then just totally out of it and scared. But the hospitalizations worked out for me because I met a lot of different people, and I met some really interesting people too. So back at 20, went to the hospital, and then went to Florida when I was 21. A friend of mine that I met in the hospital, I just wanted to add something we did at the hospital. I was in a hospital at 20, and it was a pretty well-known hospital, but I had a friend who was an actress we met. So we started a group called Evening of Play, and it's still happening there. And we wrote together, and I wrote music, and we had a show for the parents and the doctors too, the staff. And that started a tradition. So I was really pleased with that. Yeah. So then went to Florida, and I had just fell apart. I trashed my room. I threw everything apart. My therapist, I had a therapist at that time. He was teaching me meditation and other ways of coping. I forgot to say at 20, they said I was borderline personality. They didn't add bipolar and all of that. That came when I was 21, all the other things that they could figure out. And so he was teaching me meditation in different ways, which still works to this day with mantras and things. It really worked all these years later. And if I do my mantra, then I get to a more peaceful space inside of me.
You have borderline and you have bipolar, so it's border polar.
Yes, border polar. Went in between, I have to say this, graduated high school, went to NYU and studied liberal arts and writing. Yes. And then I went to Hunter College, City College of New York, and I was elementary teacher. I received my degree for that. Then I tried to do special education, and I went for about 1.5 years into it, but I couldn't really pull it together. Okay. I was using services for people with special needs to help me extra time, and the teachers could know that I needed help. And it was a big deal to graduate, because in between the bulimia and I'll get to the bipolar.
And the hospitalizations, when you were so nervous as it was, how did you manage to get through school? That's awfully brave, you know.
I just, I love learning. I like that. How did I do it?
Were you medicated?
I'm sorry?
Were you medicated?
Oh, yes. I started, Florida, I had my nervous breakdown. We went to Manhattan, saw this doctor. At that point at 21, I was diagnosed with bipolar. Mm-hmm. So borderline and bipolar. And then I had bulimia, and I went for Overeaters Anonymous and had the eating disorder, the drinking wine, and the marijuana, which is a dual diagnosis, social anxiety, which is why I don't go on camera very often. And what else? ADHD. Mm-hmm. I have that to this day. It's very, very difficult. Mm-hmm.
But bipolar, the jury's out really on whether it's there's a genetic component. In your case, it seems there must be, to have been so young and not be okay. So absolutely. There's one school of thought where scientists say it's not genetic, bipolar that is, and there's another that says it is. So I would say if you were 5 years old and already displaying symptoms, does it run in your family at all?
My grandfather on my mother's side, he had some form of depression. I heard stories about it, and probably from my grandfather.
Yes.
And I have other relatives in the family that are bipolar. She's doing very well though. That's the whole purpose. I'm doing well, and you can do well. And I took advantage of every hospitalization to meet people. I actually like the therapy and the group therapies and meeting people like us. Okay, so between 20 and 42, I've been hospitalized about 9-10 times. Wow. One time I took myself there because I knew I needed to. They put me on a medication that was addictive. Not brilliant. And I had to get off it. So I took myself to a hospital. I was very brave, and I thought that was terrific.
It is brave, yes, absolutely.
So then I also, in Manhattan, which I loved, I worked at the Museum of Modern Art, no, not that one, Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I loved it. I could go behind the scenes, and I was just having a great time. When I did that job for about 1.5 years, I really loved it. But the thing is, back to not working. Sounds like elementary ed and special ed, and also I studied holistic massage therapy and all these things, but I was never, ever able to work. Mm-hmm. Every time I would try to do something, and then I volunteered for children, deaf children, blind children, other preschools, advanced preschools, and I just was going, but then I'd always have psychosis. Mm-hmm. Something would happen, I'd go to work, and everything was topsy-turvy. And I was really, it was very difficult because every time I would try. So my life, I've been at home. I never became independent living. And my parents pretty much were there for me. They helped me as much as possible. So that was damaging in itself, being at home. But the managing a real life was just very, very difficult. Very difficult.
It is very difficult, isn't it? And I think the stigma that people hold is misplaced. And I'm not saying everybody. Let me say that some people have. We're all human beings. We're doing the very best we can. And then when you can't work, some people might say, well, you're so lazy. You got through. I'm sure you had that. And you managed to get through school, all right, and blah, blah, blah. But now you just don't want to work. What happens to people with borderline and bipolar together? There is an element of fear and confusion within our brains that we can't control. So when we are under stress, the worst things happen. We become depressed. We can go psychotic. We can become manic. So we try and to keep trying to fit into a job, a 9-to-5 job, and then feeling guilty because you got to phone your boss and say, well, I can't really come in. Why? Well, I'm not feeling well. And you don't want to say that you have a disorder. Look, I think these days it has moved where you can say that.
My employees, I had it.
Yeah. But it's not that people don't want to work. I know so many people with, my goodness, look at our channel. I mean, every 5,500, 6,000 people, not everyone doesn't want to work. It's just, in fact, one feels rather sort of like you're not that competent, if that's the right word, because you can't work. And yet, you've done some incredible things. Lisa does artwork and she sings. And I tell you what, guys, I'm putting the links below this video, and please check her out, all right? Because she's flipping amazing.
Yeah, I have to create, and that's part of it. I haven't really talked about bipolar with the ups and downs and the hypomania and the anger and the ups and very, very, I had bipolar 1, and I have one of the hardest ones to deal with.
Wow.
I didn't get to 42 because between 42, I'm 62 now. I haven't been in the hospital anymore, and I don't have psychosis. And I met a man that went to visit me in the hospital when I was 42. I also was married, divorced, and have a son, but that happened also. But I met somebody, and since this day, he's helped me so much that I haven't had to go to the hospital again, and has helped me. Really good at cooking and cleaning. There are things that are very difficult for me that seem simple for other people. Yes, but not for me. So he's helped me. I asked him, what's the biggest thing it takes to take care of me or help me? It's patience, he said. Yeah, I forgot to mention I'm on 4 medications, which started when I was 20. So I've been on medication for 42 years of my life.
Yep.
And I tried all different types, and I take about 4 now. One of them's heavy duty, pretty much, but it works.
Have you ever looked at your diet or supplement?
Yeah, I've been. My friend I'm talking about, Mark, he's chemist. He has a background in chemistry.
Oh, wow.
So he's been giving me special supplements and different foods. Yeah, I said I couldn't cook, but he can really cook.
Well, there we go.
Eating whole foods and fresh foods and things like that. And sure, cheating at time, whatever that means, but just, having good meals.
Have you cut out meat just for interest's sake?
Well, we were on keto. We're in intermittent fasting right now. And he lost about 35 pounds.
Wow.
And he's 67 and he looks great. I mean, fantastic. So we started working out too. But the diet, we eat meat. We eat things that he knows about. I can't have too much protein, but he needs meat. He needs a lot. He's my manly man.
And actually, I think one has to also live your life at times. I mean, we can be so strict, and it's already hard enough having a mental illness or 3 or 5. And when we have to constantly, then we can't have that. We can't have chocolate. We can't have this. I think that then life becomes a complete nightmare.
Mm. Well, I've always been gravitating towards pianos, and I tried to have lessons, and I could never do that either. I couldn't like really stick with it. But I've been for years and years, probably since that hospitalization I was talking about with Evening of Play, just making music. And I used to have, and poetry, and I used to have a lot of tapes and things like that, but I lost them in a move. So I lost a lot of material. Oh. So basically the YouTube right now, it's only a therapy. It's a way for me to have a journal and things like that. It's pretty private for me. But when I met you and I started to make the YouTube to have that outlet, I also make categories. So one of the categories I have is called Stop the Stigma. And I have about 230 videos, perhaps, of you and many, many other people that I found along the way that are telling their story, and all types of stories. And so one of the reasons I'm saying that, because I think it's really full of good information for people if they're interested.
Information. I've never even seen that. I'm going to go on and have a look.
Yeah, it's good. You're in it.
Oh, well, no, I just want to see what you've done. I think that's incredible of you.
The creativity, I have to be creative because I have to express myself. Mm-hmm. And so I do that. The songs pretty much, they're good. I have the situation here, I'll be quick. I'm in a place where I cannot practice piano because there's a sound restriction. So everything I do is 1 minute of taking it, and then I can't practice or go over it and over again. So it's pretty raw and it's kind of quick, not taped. I do a lot better without the tape. And then I'm really into it and improvising and all these words and singing. And then I tape it and go, oh.
And your art is also, I see on Instagram, people ask you, are you going to sell it? And you don't.
Yes, over and over.
Why you don't sell it?
Because I am really not good with the computer. Everything I make is on this phone I'm holding right now.
Oh, wow.
They're all out of focus photographs that are supposed to be like painting and things like that. Why don't I do it? Because I don't want to. I don't know if I don't want to.
It's actually absolutely fine.
Then there's so many things happened. I mean, I'm 62. The history is amazing. And it's just very interesting. But history, I love history. And if something irks me like war, I will go to the piano and make a song or express it. That's why I have to express things that matter to me. Mm-hmm. And things do matter to me. So I just express that. It's part of the creativity, I think.
Were you there with 911?
Yeah, I was in Manhattan. But I'll tell you one thing. There was a grace period. But back to mental illness, pain, I go through it all. Mm-hmm. If we're going to talk about that. But
what pain do you feel?
Spirituality to me, when I listen to you, I understand where you're coming from.
Can you tell me just, we can end it if you like, just to say, how have you found relationships, friendships with other people?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, again, I have social anxiety, so it's difficult. Sometimes, I don't know, the normal people, if they're normal, I don't really talk about like that. Mm-hmm. I don't really have a lot of friends, we'll put it that way. I have some friends that go way back, but there's been stuff in my family. I sued a brother, whatever. So there's been a lot of the pushing away from the family, or they pushed away from me. Unbelievable. Very difficult for me because I need to trust the person big time because I'm not one to hide my illnesses. And so if you know me, then you have to understand it. And people that don't, I'll have acquaintances, kind of, but I stick to myself mostly. I really do. And Mark, we kind of stick to ourselves because we're both kind of different, so to speak. But yeah, friendships are very, very difficult for me and have been. I've been blessed with relationships, so it's not always that, but mostly stick inside for the most part. I like people, though. I love crowds, actually. I love Manhattan. I'm in Florida now. It's very different. But I love Manhattan, all the free places you could go and the people and feeling the energy. Yeah. And I really like people a lot, actually, as a whole. And I talk to a lot of people during my days. So it's not like friendships are different than talking to people and communicating with people. And that I do. And sometimes people don't even hear a thank you. So I'm one to say thank you. And they're like, I never hear thank you. Isn't that amazing? Just the partners out there, you have to take care of yourselves. If you have a loved one with mental illness, you have to think of yourself, and you have to be open, understand, learn about it. And there are some people that are not, if they're going to be nasty to their partner or their friend, then they're better off leaving, because either you're going to understand it or you're going to hurt that person, even they're hurting enough. And then to put hurt on hurt, it's not right. So I believe people that walk away sometimes, they're doing you a favor. Because the stigma, I mean, it's always about stigma, isn't it? Even the words mental illness, it used to be like, oh no, mental illness, you know, just saying those together. It's like, oh, you know, but there's more understanding. I don't know. I find that there's more understanding, and it doesn't make it easy for me to go out and about, because again, I don't trust people sometimes, and also, you know, I'm myself, and I'll give myself to certain people, but not everybody, because what that means is that I'll talk to people, but getting really close takes time. I don't know. It's hard to explain. The difficult thing to explain, and it's painful too, because you just feel, I feel like I'm an outsider and something. It's like, I just want to be open and honest about it, but too many people jump to conclusions. But basically, I'm blessed. That's all I have to say. I'm really blessed with my relationship. And yeah, and of course, I'm not going to go on about you, but I could take half hour talking about you and what you've meant to me and how much I've learned, and answering the questions for you. I used to think about it. I didn't just write. I would think about what I was going to write, because I'm not a specialist and I'm not sure, but I think that with your channel, we can support each other, which we do. Absolutely. And we're also very much alike. We understand each other, and we can share the difficulties and the successes, all the positives and the negatives. But talking about the positives, we can encourage each other and keep going. You know, it's a movement.
We're moving forward, and I think that that's 100% true, because, and thank you very much, it's really sweet of you to say that. There's many ways that we are hindered with mental illness, but there are many ways we are more than able. So instead of, we're not only disabled, there's areas we can't do, but then there's areas we can do that perhaps others can't. So we do a lot of things. And I think that's something about us which is different, is that not only the mental disorder makes us able to do a multitude of things and do them all very well for some reason. I mean, that's it. Winston Churchill was bipolar, Abraham Lincoln, bipolar, Virginia Woolf, bipolar, Marilyn Monroe, borderline, probably had bipolar as well. I could go on, but I always say to people, if you have been diagnosed, look up whose company you're keeping. There are the great Howard Hughes.
Yes.
Bipolar. And so look at that, because you're not this cripple. And when you say you can't, would you say I'm right if I say, meaning you mess it up or you start getting really angry?
the timing of it all, and very concerned that I'm going to burn something. And then I usually do burn it because I'm concerned of burning. One time I made a cheese sandwich for my son and his friend, and I forgot to put the cheese in. Doing grilled cheese without cheese. I was like,
oh, well, you know, we have to laugh at things like that because what else do?
Yeah.
I think that we have our own sense of fun and our own kind of way about us. And
That's why people like us are fun. I mean, sense of humor can be good too. I think we're very, very quick sometimes and very hear something and think of the funny part about it. I make myself laugh because some of my jokes people wouldn't get. But I used to do impressions, and I used to do a lot of impressions, and I love the arts. I love actors and all that. I love all that stuff. You name it, that has to do with movies and things like that. But yeah, I used to do my imitations, and I liked acting the little that I did. But yeah, I'm more geared to. My mom was an actress, so that kind of goes that way. And yeah, so that's creativity too. But
you know, you're doing so well, and I want to thank you again. I won't take more of your time, and enjoy, everybody, and check out Lisa's channel. I'll put your links below.
I just want to say one more thing that I wanted to say, but you go ahead. You go ahead.
No,
you're ending. Okay. I want to say that we are not alone. There's millions upon millions of people with mental illness, and it's not ashamed to have it. And people are afraid to have it because they don't want to be labeled, and they feel bad, and the medications can be harsh, but you work through it. But there are many, many millions and millions of people. So we are not alone. And that's very comforting.
100%. Absolutely. That's so important that you said that, because yeah, we are not alone. There are millions of people with mental illness, and some people feel completely alone. So
yes,
you know, let's just hope that we all come together, because there's millions of people like us. And yeah, 1 in 4 have mental illness. They've now got it down to 1 in 3.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not that uncommon. Maybe people just haven't been diagnosed yet. I don't know.
No, that is true. And people don't want to, they think, oh, it's not bad, not that bad. No, not that bad. You have to be real. You have to accept the truth, and you have to work at it, which I've done for meds 42 years. Long time. So thank you, Deborah, for your time right now. And I know you work so hard to help us. You're always doing something and putting it out there and making us feel that we're not alone and that we're pretty special people. So that's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And I always found a lot of encouragement from you. So I just want to thank you. Even this interview, thank you for doing this, because I'm very new to camera and things like that, but you've made it really easy for me. So, you know.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, Lisa. You're fabulous. And I just love you very much. It has been great. Thank you for giving your time and for sharing. I hope it's helped all of you. And yeah, any questions, pin them below and stick them below, and Lisa or I or one of the tribe will get to you. Thanks again. It's been lovely.
Okay.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Cheers.